It's just like a technical thing, it doesn't have.
Are we ready for Steve?
That really flips over the
I call the Cumberland Planning meeting for Wednesday, July 22nd to order. I'd ask those, if you have cell phones, if you could put them on silent or vibrate or something like that. Ms. Owens or whoever is, Hannah, I guess, would you call the roll, please?
Sure. Mr. Brindle,
Present.
Ms. Gaston. Present. Mr. Brady.
Here.
Ms. Laptop. Mr. Carroll. Ms. P. Present. Mr. Loud.
Here.
Austin Plum.
Okay, so we don't have Bernadette
No.
coming on, so, okay.
So you don't have to do roll.
So we don't have to do roll call, okay. Consideration of the minutes for on the June 24th meeting, any comments on that?
It's a date that was wrong. On the continuances. Second paragraph, beside the main motion to continue. Says June 22nd, should be July 22nd.
So we can move as amended.
I move to accept as amended.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we are here tonight. We have two public hearings on two totally different projects. But we do have an appointment right now for citizens' comments. Any comments related to the two hearings, you'll have time then. So this time is citizens' comments are basically related to anything you want to talk about related to Cumberland and your city. So if you have anything you want to talk about with that, you're welcome. If not, Planning Commission comments. No. I just want to say that I see the walking trail through Valley Brook that was put on the street is getting used more and more now. And even kids out riding bikes are using it, so I think it's working. I don't know if it's slowing traffic down, but at least people are using that area to walk. And sometimes I forget I've got it's over there, so I've got to go across and get into it. So. Okay, we have no continuances. So the first item in business is the DPR 2026-04 Cumberland Marketplace. Petitioner is Kenmar. Request development plan approval for approximately 5.2 acres located in the southeast corner of County Road 700W and Highfield Drive for a two-building development consisting of a hardware store and a multi-tenant commercial and retail building. Let me go through for those of you that are here, the process that we use for these public hearings. Essentially, the petitioner, in this case, Kenmar, somebody who's representing them, will be giving their presentation. Then the staff here will be giving their presentation, and they have about 15 minutes to do that. The staff will give theirs, and we'll be probably asking some clarifications as it goes through, and then I'll open the public hearing. At that point, the public will have about 10 minutes to make comment. We ask them if you're making comments that, you don't need to duplicate something somebody else has said, either positive or negative. And then once that's done, I will close the hearing. And we may extend the time if we have a lot of people, but it doesn't look like we have a big group here tonight. And then we will probably ask some more clarification comments. And at that point, the petitioner will also be able to speak again if they want to add any clarification based on the comments from the public. And then we'll deliberate and make a decision one way or another. So with that, we'll get started. So the Kenmar people are here.
Hi, Dylan Reynolds with Space Co Engineering, representing the Kenmar folks. They couldn't be here tonight due to another conflict, but I can answer any questions you guys will have probably eventually. Yeah, just to introduce the project a little bit. It's on about 22 acres there, right in the northeast corner of 700 and US 40. The actual development piece of this is kind of about 5 acres in the northwest corner of that piece. For 2 buildings, an inline retail building, and a hardware store. For 2 separate buildings on 5 acres, with the rest of the site. Having the infrastructure put in place, so initial roads, sanitary, water, storm sewer, the kind of master plan for this whole 22 acres to eventually be developed. But right now focusing on that first phase, that's 2 buildings on 5 acres. So we're here to answer any questions you guys have. I'm sure staff will bring up the site plan and we can talk about it.
That's all?
That's all.
Okay. Nikki, are you doing this?
Do you want to bring up a second? So DPR 2026-04 Cumberland Marketplace. The petitioner is applying for development plan review, DPR, for 2 building commercial properties. PUD zoning connections height was granted in 2021 with a recent PUD amendment in 2026 this year, or D 2026-04. The purpose of a DPR is to review the construction plans against the PUD ordinance and all relevant zoning and subdivision control ordinances. DPRs are ministerial, meaning that if it meets the relevant codes, it should be approved. Parkview Village Connection Heights was received preliminary plat approval in 2022. And Parkview Village Section 1 secondary plat was recorded in August of 2024. In tandem with this DPR 2026-04, the petitioner applied for MAPF 2026-08, the Parkview Village Section 1 Block A replat to construct the overall commercial subdivision and to carve out Block A1 for this development. The replat was approved on July 16, 2026, allowing this DPR 2026-04 to move forward with a public hearing. The petitioner proposes to construct a new hardware store in a multi-tenant commercial retail building on Lot A1 called Cumberland Marketplace. It is noted the plans submitted also include improvements for the overall commercial subdivision infrastructure, in addition to the improvements on Lot A1. The plans are substantially similar to what was presented with the 2026 PUD amendment. Planning staff has reviewed the development plan and found it to be substantially in compliance with the town's zoning and subdivision control ordinances. In its review of a development plan proposal, the Plan Commission must look at the project's compliance with several specific criteria spelled out in the zoning ordinance. Staff's review of those criteria is as follows. The arrangement of structures on the site. Lot A1 is 5.256 acres and sits at the southeast corner of County Road 700 West and Highfield Drive. The site has 1 entrance off Highfield Drive, as well as 3 access points along Marissa Drive. Building 1, the multi-tenant commercial retail building, is oriented south towards the shared parking lot and Marissa Drive. Building 2, the hardware store, is oriented west towards the shared parking lot and County Road 700 West. Sidewalks connect both buildings. Number 2, the architecture. The architecture is very similar to what was presented with the PUD amendment. The materials, design, and public spaces meet the National Road Overlay District requirements. The architecture uses board and batten siding, cast stone, and synthetic stone with the dumpster enclosures utilizing the same materials as the buildings. Number 3, open space and landscape. Along both County Road 700 West and Highfield Drive, a 30-foot landscape buffer yard contains landscape undulating berms. Additionally, parkway landscaping is included along the public and private roads, placing trees near sidewalks or trails. The parking lot incorporates the required parking lot perimeter landscaping and interior landscaped islands. Each building is surrounded by foundation plantings. Number 4, traffic management. Lot 1A shows a parking lot driveway entrance over Highfield Drive. The Highfield Drive and County Road 700 West intersection is full access. NDOT has jurisdiction over US 40, as well as right-of-way surrounding the US 40 County Road 700 West signalized intersection, extending north past the proposed commercial subdivision entrance at Marissa Drive. The plans show a right-in, right-out entrance along US 40 at Kenneth Drive, placed a minimum of 100 foot away from the existing westbound right turn taper lane, as well as a median on US 40. Additionally, plans show a right-in, right-out entrance along County Road 700 West at Marissa Drive, with a 4-foot wide median beginning at the signal and continuing past Marissa Drive, with a northbound turn lane. While NDOT is in agreement with the right-in, right-out entrances, permits for NDOT major commercial driveways are required, and copies of these permits must be provided to the town of Cumberland prior to moving dirt. There is a proposed trail along US 40 and County Road 700 West, which includes a pedestrian crossing of County Road 700 West at Highfield Drive. Internal to the commercial subdivision, the Parkview Village Trail is continued south, past the pond in block CA1, continuing along Kenneth Drive, connecting to the trail on US 40. Number 5, parking lot screening. The petitioner has a mix of shrubs and tree landscaping with undulating berms screening the parking lot in compliance with the town's requirement. Number 6, lighting. The lighting plan for lot 1A complies with the town ordinances. For street lights along thoroughfares, which is County Road 700 North and US 40, Cumberland desires consistent fixtures throughout Cumberland to ensure public safety and visual cohesion. For thoroughfare street lights, Duke's 150 West Sandoval LED fixture with style C and default pole is to be placed in the parkway at all intersections and entrances. Verifying the light distribution pattern sufficiently illuminates intersections and pedestrian crossings. Number 7, compliance with the town ordinances. The plans submitted are substantially compliant with the PUD ordinance and the zoning ordinance. Final plans for signage will require permits. Final signage design and locations should be submitted to staff for approval prior to the issuance of permits. General terms and conditions. Development shall comply with all relevant portions of the town code. Development shall comply with the comments from the fire department, the Crossroads engineers, the FNS civil engineers, Cumberland Streets Department, and the Cumberland Utilities. Crossroads engineers' comments are attached. The FNS civil engineers' comments are attached. Buck Creek Township Fire Department has no comments. Street Department has no comments. Utility Department, no comments. NDOT, just note that the NDOT permit will be required for the entrances along US 40 and County Road 700 West. And once these are approved, the copy of those permits should be provided to the town. Hancock County Drainage Board, the board approval is not required for the outlet. If the discharge numbers change from the previously approved master plan, then a new approval would be necessary. Staff recommendation. The Plan Commission staff recommends approval of DPR 2026-04 with the following conditions. Number 1, an NDOT permit or permits are required for the entrances along US 40 and County Road 700 West. NDOT permits shall be submitted to the town of Cumberland prior to moving dirt. Number 2, address all BFNS civil engineering comments. Number 3 is address all Crossroad engineers comments. Number 4, signage to be approved by staff prior to permitting. And number 5, for the thoroughfare streetlights along County Road 700 West, in my favorite, and US 40, utilize 150 watt Sandoval LED fixture with style C with default pole. To be placed in the parkway at all intersections and entrances. Any alternative thoroughfare street type or fixture shall be approved by the town of Cumberland. I'm happy to answer any questions.
For the petitioner, from what I understand is you have an email or something that from NDOT saying that they are in agreement with all the current road situations, but you just don't actually have the permit yet. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, we have an email from them that they're accepting the location and type of access, with formal design plans. It's actually a different engineering firm that will be doing the NDOT specific plans for the entrances, but yeah, they agreed to the location.
As far as the in, out and all that, they
Yeah.
agree to it, they just don't have the. Then you won't get the permit, I guess, until you actually get the engineering work to them, is that it?
We typically don't have the NDOT permit at this stage,
Right.
but we usually have the indication from NDOT, like in this case, that they're supportive of what it's being proposed.
Because I know that was one of the reasons we got a continuance. to-
Yeah, I would have been here sooner, but.
At this point. And just as a wondering, how much of the building is actually gonna be the hardware store?
I think it's 14,000 square feet of the south building.
I mean, if there's
Or
like, there's
other
gonna be what, maybe two other businesses potentially in that.
Yeah, the package should have as a breakdown.
Has like entrance pictures, but it's hard to tell how much is actually the store, the hardware.
Yeah, it's about 14,000 square feet.
It's building one, right?
Building two, building two,
Garden center.
Building two.
yeah. So the suite 207 is. A lot of the hardware store.
And it's the south end of that building.
Yep.
Correct.
Well, if you 10,000 square feet. For retail.
And the whole building is 2,400. 24,000. 24,000. Again, just information, do you have any other potential people coming yet, or?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not privy to all those conversations, but I'm sure they would move forward building it if they didn't have a few folks interested, so.
Okay. That's all the questions I have. Now, yeah, okay, well, okay, so next we open the public hearing on this, so I will open the public hearing for DPR.
9602.
Yeah, 2602. 2604. So anybody from the public want to have any questions or comments about it? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Okay, any other comments by the planning commission member? Questions? This is essentially what we approved a while back, and just kind of the next step in the process, so. Okay, I will entertain a motion then. I'll make a motion.
Matter of case number DPR 2026-04, the Cumberland Marketplace. Number one, the Cumberland Plan Commission has considered the arrangement of structures on the site, the architectural style, the development, the proposed landscape and open space plan, the proposed lighting plan, and proposed traffic management plan. And has found that these items meet the criteria set forth in section 4(8-7) of the Cumberland zoning ordinance under the conditions of this approval. Number two, the Cumberland Plan Commission further finds that the proposed development meets the requirements of the town of Cumberland zoning ordinance, subdivision control ordinance, storm drainage, erosion, and sediment control ordinance, and the land use policies and goals and objective of the comprehensive plan. I move that we approve petition DPR 2026-04, a development plan review petition for Cumberland Marketplace. And I move that this approval be made subject to the following conditions. Number one, NDOT permit required for entrances along US 40 and County Road 700 West. NDOT permits shall be submitted to the town of Cumberland prior to moving dirt. Number two, address all BFNS civil engineer comments. Three, address all Crossroads engineer comments. Four, signage to be approved by staff prior to permitting. Four, the thoroughfare streetlights along County Road 700 North and US 40 utilize 150 watt Sanibel LED fixture with style C with a davit pole to be placed in the parkway at all intersections and entrances. Any alternative to thoroughfare street light types and fixtures shall be approved by the town of Cumberland. Lastly, incorporate pedestrian crossing elements along County Road 700 such as advanced warning signage, median refuge, curb extension, or raised pedestrian crossings at Highfield Drive. That is all.
Do I have a second?
I'll say.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any comments? If not, all in favor? Aye, opposed, the motion passes. Get your permit and start moving her.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the PUD 2602, Lansing Woods South PUD. Petitioner is Arbor Homes, is requesting to rezone the subject properties from Cumberland North PUD zoning to Lansing Woods South PUD zone for a 54-acre, 136 lot residential subdivision. Again, the same thing as before, as far as the public hearing goes, you'll have time for comments after we get to that point. And also basically, as it says here, this was originally approved back about 2 years ago as a piece of what was called Cumberland North, which included a housing addition in this same area, then a area set aside for institutional, potentially a school, and then apartments to the further east. So this is basically handling an amendment to that PUD for that section.
To create
The
a.
rezone for that piece right there that had the housing in it. So it's, the other part will stay as it is, because it was approved back then. This is for the, basically the housing portion that was approved a couple of years ago as part of the full Cumberland law. So with that, if the petitioner is ready to go.
Yes, good evening. I have some handouts of the presentation, maybe quickly to follow along. Are you looking at it? Sometimes you can see that that's the screen.
Yeah.
Again, good evening. My name is Tony Brigado with Arbor Homes. Our address is 9225 Harrison Park Court here in Annapolis. First, I want to thank staff. They're really great to work with. They're very supportive of helping us get through the process. It's sometimes like hand holding us through the process, but they're always very responsive and help guide us in the way to get through the process best we can. So I do appreciate their effort in this and want to acknowledge that. Again, with Arbor Homes, we're looking at the site for the Bangle owner that was part of the Cumberland North. Arbor, we've been around since 1994, the local builder in Annapolis, and so we've been a well-established builder, product-wise and reputation-wise. Some reviews just here of our homeowners. The site here shown on the aerial in yellow is the 54 acres that we're discussing today. To the east of that, you can see the brown area that's not highlighted. That's the other portion of Cumberland North. Again, that we're not touching that part of the PUD. This site is just north of 150 and portion south of 150. It's also east of Buck Creek Road and west of North 70 West. Again, it was annexed in 2024, and the PUD, I believe, was 2025 for Cumberland North. There was a mixed use, again, as we talked about, institutional was part of the use, and it is on this property, shown here in that red area. And then those commercial or single family detached as well as attached So the attached part is again to the east, which we're not touching. This is the portion for, Arbor Lennar Homes was the previous, builder that was working in this area. Their plans, as far as we know, just, did not work out, so they walked away, and we stepped in since we have some property to the north, and it would help with our utilities for both projects if they were connected. And we wanted to take a chance of getting this rezoned for our product. So with that, there's some changes, because we don't have the same product as them, some of the, we have some larger homes compared to the smaller ones they had. So our proposal is 136 homes. There's 84 of the arbor lots, which are 55-foot wide, shown in yellow. Then there's 52 of our arrival lots, which is our newest series, 40-foot wide, in the lighter blue towards the north of the site. And that's intentional, that I'll show later, to line up with Lansing Woods where there's arrival in that section. Our gross density on this site is 2.5 units per acre. From the open space side, we have 18, just over 18 acres of open space. That's 35%. It does include the pond, so there needs to be a little bit more for than 25%, which I guess my PUD listed 20, so we're in agreement with changing that for the next meeting. We're showing walking trails, sidewalks, landscape buffers required, as well as the park dedication that was still in the previous Cumberland North PUD that's shown there with that existing pond to the north. I'll zoom in on the amenities a little bit closer here next. On the left there is a little bit below to the park, so Lennar's plan had off-street parking on a small lot because they had alley-loaded homes fronting a street, and the residents or park visitors would have to park behind those homes. We don't have alley-loaded homes, so we couldn't do that kind of design. So what we're proposing is a smaller pull-out area that can accommodate up to 10 to 15 cars potentially. We haven't engineered it out fully, but we want to provide cars that come right in off the road for visitors to go to the park directly there. We'll be again dedicating this area and putting in some of the trail improvements as required in the PUD previously. On the far right plan, it shows you our overall trail connectivity. So the red path throughout the plan is a 10-foot wide path that'll connect within our community, as well as to the Lansing Woods approved to the north. And then all the blue lines are the 5-foot wide sidewalk that'll be required along the streetways. And they'll be connected along the perimeter roads as well with the trail. To show a little comparison from the last approval to Cumberland North. Cumberland North is the site plan on the right, but they had 163 single-family homes that were detached. Their density was at 3.67, and their minimum home width they had was 15-foot wide, which was there at the far south of the site. The densest area on our plan with that little cul-de-sac and the pond to the west. The homes were 15-foot wide with single car garages, I believe, 2-story homes. And we don't have that product, so we'll be changing that out. So again, our density comes up a little less. We have 30 less homes than 133. Our density is a 2.52. Our minimum home width is the 30-foot wide for the arrival series. And then architecturally, we're very similar, but I will point out that they had a commitment for no vinyl. We are currently proposing vinyl for this PUD. And we did know staff has a request for doing thicker vinyl, which we are in agreement with if the plan commission agrees. So we'd be okay with that. And then I wanted to show, this is a plan that did my best bet attempt to try and show the two plans of Lansing Woods and Lansing Woods South together, how it connects. So the top one is a plat that we had approved recently, several months ago, that was in compliance with the overall original PUD. So delay, sorry, I went too far. There was a change that we talked about at the plat hearing, mentioning this one that we would be here for the PUD event or new PUD. Because we changed some access points, but the overall density of Lansing Woods did not change from that original approval. It won't lose if I push it twice, but then it goes too far. Yeah, sorry. We can try to get back to it later, but the homes that we're showing for the 55-foot wide are traditional arbor lots. There's 12 floor plans with those that have 5 elevations each. They're a mix of ranch and 2-story homes. They vary between 1,200 to 3,000 square feet, almost 3,200. Depending on the plan that's chosen, our buyers get to pick their plans. We don't pre-plan out and build spec homes. Our buyers pick their lot as well as their home. and all their options from the outside as well as the interior. Now, exterior wise, we do have to make sure we meet the town's anti-monotony standards, so we do still have to work around that. And any other architectural standards, but generally the homeowner gets to pick what they want for the home. And then there's some more renderings shown. These are very similar to what was in the previous PUD for Lansing Woods. And then the arrival product is the one that's the newer floor plans for us. There's 5 plans of those with 5 elevations. These do vary between 2 to 3 stories from 1,100 square feet up to 1,800 square feet. This is our newer entry level price point home. That was approved previously in Lansing Woods. So again, to be consistent with that west side of the Lansing Woods plan that I was trying to show mixed together. They would be able to connect in there. Thought that was the best bet from a planning side and bringing in those 2 products together again for the 2 projects, 2 different sites. Working through the utility side, again, we hope that by having both approved, we have some shared costs for legal drain improvements as well as we need to do water connections that are still working through on Lansing Woods. Need to say it now. So here's the plan I was trying to bring in that shows the 2 connected. Again, Lansing Woods to the north, that 183 homes, and then this one 133 just south of there. And with that, I'll make myself available for any questions and for comments.
I'll have some later, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're doing staff report on it? Okay, Christine.
Thank you. Again, for this case, it's a PUD, rezoning, so, a little unique. This is a rezone of PUD to PUD. This is again, 54 acres. Tony did a good job kind of describing the area. To the north, it will be the proposed, single family residentials and PUD. To the east, you have Hancock County, R2.5, single family residential, and then, Cumberland North, multifamily PUD. To the south, you have Hancock County, R2.5, single family residential homes. And to the west, you also, have single family homes, zoned R2.5 in Hancock County. Comprehensive planning calls for low density residential in this area. A little bit of history and actual request. The subject property is located along County Road 150 North between Buck Creek Road and 700 West. It was annexed into the town in 2024, initially zoned R2, single family. Cumberland North was approved as a PUD on March of 2025 with a 96 acre total project with a concept plan showing 163 homes and up to 550 apartments with a future institutional use. The Cumberland North PUD included this property, but also the property that's to the east of this, part of this northwest. The Cumberland North preliminary plat was approved with conditions in July of 2025. Arbor Homes is requesting rezone of this area for 136 lots, detached single-family residential subdivision. PUD is a type of rezoning that writes its own zoning standards for the specific project. So when considering a PUD, it's important to focus on the text of the PUD request, is the process for establishing those minimum standards for which the project will be reviewed for compliance during planning and permitting. And then the concept plan is conceptual at this stage. So as it goes through engineering, we know there will be some modifications that happen. Overall, the proposal for Lansing Woods is similar to that of the residential north. Though there are some differences which we'll highlight during and throughout our analysis. Concept plan and PUD ordinance analysis. When considering a PUD, the Planning Commission and Council should consider whether that is the purpose for PUDs as well as the development standards. Staff's comments regarding the purpose criteria are as follows. 1, encourage innovation, creativity in the design and layout of the development. The developer proposes 2 single-family product types. The Arrival Series, which is Area A, it's considered kind of a starter home option, and then the Arbor Series, Area B, designated as starter home or move up, depending on the buyer's need. The proposed Lansing Woods South project will create a walkable neighborhood that includes a park to be dedicated to Cumberland as well as future institutional use that could be a school. The proposed neighborhood trail system connects to the Buck Creek Trail and Lansing Woods Trail systems, which ultimately continue to the Hancock County Gateway Campus Trail system, making this, which makes more community amenities accessible to all residents. The proposed Lansing Woods South has a more efficient road network and improved trail system compared to the Cumberland concept. 2, provide for more efficient use of land, including the reduction of land area disturbed for utility lines and motor vehicle access. The proposed design integrates its streets and trail network well into the existing and proposed developments, creating a safe and efficient network. Changes to the internal road network connecting to Lansing Woods to provide better access than the original. Uses are laid out to provide a cohesive transition from Lansing Woods to Lansing Woods South and create a cohesive neighborhood. Overall density is lower compared to the original Cumberland North project to the different product types. Number 3, permit special consideration of property with outstanding natural or topographical features, historical significance, landscape amenities, and site section. The project site doesn't have outstanding natural or topographic features, but it does have a pond on site that would be dedicated to the town as part of the park. The existing pond would become a focal point for that future public park. It was once twice the size that it is, filled in with concrete from I-70 several years ago. There is a clean fill letter, but that site's really better used for a park at this point. The park will include the benches of parking. A regulated drain is being relocated to the perimeter of the site, and ponds are being used as buffers where possible as well. Number 4, encourage imaginative uses of common areas and open space. Trails and sidewalks will be installed to connect regional trails and create walkable neighborhood. The trail network will connect residents to the proposed park featuring an existing pond, trail loop, and natural landscape and nature's space. Can't talk. Additionally, most lots have a buffer in the rear yard or a landscaped pond. So almost all of the lots would enjoy a view of a landscape area. The donation of the park space is a little atypical, but it's also a benefit to this area. Number 5, provide for a comprehensive review and approval process aimed at furthering the comprehensive plan. Our comprehensive plan currently calls for low density residential in this area. And the proposed detached single family homes and neighborhood density of 2.52 is appropriate. The comprehensive plan promotes diversity in housing by offering 2 different products. The developer would be adding more housing options for buyers. Proposed institutional use also provides a location that may be needed to fill community needs in the future. Number 6, development standards. So this section goes over the proposed PUD standards, compares them to the existing Cumberland North PUD ordinance. Overall, staff has found that many of the proposed standards are comparable to the single family house product that was approved in Lansing Woods. It does eliminate the smaller lots that were part of the Cumberland North original proposal south of County Road 150 North. The proposed landscape standards and buffers generally meet or exceed Cumberland standards. However, there will be some placement constraints on property line to avoid the legal drain. The zoning ordinance does require 25% open space. The applicant will dedicate the park area around the pond for a public park. In your staff report, there's a table that compares the development standards between the Cumberland North PUD and the proposed Lansing Woods PUD. Since this is a continuation of Lansing Woods, the proposed PUD includes similar standards to the Lansing Woods. Underlying zoning for this would be R4. Cumberland North, the smallest lots were proposed to be 3,000 square feet, whereas Lansing Woods would be 4,000. And the petitioner is proposing a minimum 5-foot side setback, which does meet the minimum building codes for building separation. For parking, the zoning ordinance requires 2 parking spaces per unit. Every house plan contains a garage. There's also a 25-foot front setback, which does allow for safe parking in front of the garages as well. For the architecture, the Arrival series, Tony went through the illustrative exhibits that are proposed there. There's a mix of different options there, same thing with Area B. To improve architectural diversity along the streetscape, the applicant proposes varying setbacks and a variety of elevation and color schemes to implement anti-monotony. The varying front setback is something that is not in the town's anti-monotony code and is a good addition. Vinyl siding is proposed. The original plan for Cumberland North prohibited vinyl. Since this project is a continuation of Lansing Woods, it's important to know that Lansing Woods is all vinyl. So changing the materials could be, could visually set the two apart. Buck Creek Fire Department has expressed some concerns about the minimum side setback if vinyl is used. The Plan Commission may want to consider a commitment to increase the vinyl gauge in Lansing Woods to 0.046, which is considered a premium grade or thick residential grade vinyl, if you were to allow it. Staff reviewed the proposed standards and architecture to see how the plans compare. Lansing Woods South does not require a minimum amount of masonry. They have agreed to commit to a minimum 4-foot deep covered porch or entryway. Lansing Woods South does not include a minimum number of windows. Lansing Woods South requires a minimum of 3 materials, colors, or patterns on the front elevation, whereas Cumberland North, it was 2. And then the proposed Lansing Woods South standards match those for the original Lansing Woods. On the next page, you have a table that compares the architectural standards that were in both the Cumberland North and the proposed Lansing Woods South for comparison. Signage. The PUD will allow 2 signs per subdivision index, according to the zoning ordinance. For landscaping, there's a minimum lot landscaping standard established in the PUD for street trees or parkway trees. Those will be planted the equivalent of every 40 foot along internal streets in County Road 154. Perimeter landscapes yards, the minimum is 10 feet of landscape area with 1 shade, 1 ornamental, and 4 shrubs every 40 feet. The concept plan is currently showing 15. The buffer along County Road 150 will be a minimum of 30 feet, but that's the configuration of paint materials. The regulated drain along the west property line creates constraints for landscaping. But it does create a more significant distance between the neighboring homes on Lansing Woods South. That regulated drain easement will be 50 feet. Ponds are also shown along some of this area, creating additional buffering. For the open space, the PUD commits to a minimum 20%, ordinance requires 25%. The plans include creation of a park around the existing pond. The park will be dedicated to the town. The developer will install trails in the park and provide parking. The town desires the park to be more of a natural area with decking near the pond, trails, native trees, things like that. Planning Commission did require fountains to be added irrigation ponds in the original Cumberland North. That's not something that's addressed in the PUD, so just want to point that out. When it comes to public services, we'll serve letters that have been provided in the past. Sanitary, sewer, and water, and if this is approved at preliminary plat, those would have to provide it again. For the roads, the engineers have reviewed the original traffic study along with all the proposed development that's happening in this area around County Road 154 and 700. And at this time, they've determined that the roundabout improvements and improvements on 700 are not triggered by the trips generated by the residential developments. That the school and the multifamily projects were what were actually hitting the warrants for the road improvements. So you will see traditional XL decel lanes, that'll be required at entrances off of County Road 1, and the trail, will need to be installed, and then street lights, will be required in the street light. The fire department comments are, included in your packet, and just to point out, this will require Hancock County Drainage Board review. Planning Commission staff is, recommending the Planning Commission send a favorable recommendation to the town council with the following conditions. Hancock County Drainage Board approval, update section 8.1.1, as all the trails must meet Cumberland Trail standards. Update Exhibit C, pedestrian connectivity map and the PUD text were provided on 7/16/26, showing 10-foot trails with a continuous trail network connecting to the park. Amend the last statement in section 7.2, essentially, we'd like to see the words as part of the Cumberland with PUD stricken, as this is replacing that. And then pages 15 through 19 should be labeled as Exhibit D, and then the minimum 25% open space. With that, happy to answer any questions.
I have some that will open the public hearing first. So, again, this is time for the public. We have about 10 minutes. Looks like there's maybe 3 or 4 of you that might want to speak. So if you would come up, state your name and your address. And, then you've got your time, so. Whoever wants to go first? Or if nobody wants to, that's okay.
I just really have a question.
Well, come on up and remember your name and address.
Linda Stepler, 7280 West Sacramento.
Okay.
The builder said that there is a 10-foot buffer, like from the back of our house to the property of the houses that are going to be back behind us. But we have got the easement running behind our house, the utility easement. So is that 10-foot going to be, like, say, there's 18 feet behind our house that's supposed to be the utility easement? Is that 10 foot off of that?
So this isn't a Q, you can ask that question generally, and if the petitioners want to respond, that can during the time, but it's not a Q&A for the petition.
Yeah.
So,
You can raise that-
Yeah, question number.
Okay,
Yeah, something I to look at. Appreciate it.
Anyone else?
My name is Kurt Lyon, 7265 West, 150 North. Okay, questions I did have was 150 North, is there any plans for widening it or anything to handle the extra traffic? Because it is currently a narrow road that you can't pass the school bus on, you have to pull over, the school bus is through now. So with added traffic, that's a concern of mine being where I live. The other thing too, and it's probably not questioned, the 30-foot buffer that's around, does that include a mound or is it lower trees? That's probably a question I gotta ask them, I guess. And then there's also a 10-inch drain line that runs from the back of my property along the east side of that field, and then along the south side of that field down to Snyder Ditch. And just want to make sure that that doesn't get damaged or messed with, because it takes my rainwater away and all the ones that are on Sacramento in the back. So got those concerns. Another concern is the pond that's there, I brought up last year at the meeting. Probably needs to be some type of concern. I know there's paperwork showing that it had clean fill, and it was all basically concrete and lime and stuff from Interstate 70. But that lime dust washes into that pond every time we get a rain. And there's currently no animals living in that. And the gentleman that had the pond had a pontoon in there at one time for part of it, and it ate the end of the pontoon off. The lime did it, so probably needs to be some type of cleanup done there. And then the last thing is the drain tile that comes from Interstate 70 across those fields, it comes across right at the back or the west side of that pond that's there, cuts across the field and goes over to the Snyder ditch. It's enclosed, but then it becomes open when you get over toward Sacramento. And I'm assuming by the looks of the drawing that that's gonna get all reconfigured because that drain tile cannot be underneath the home, or I think we were told 30 foot within the home. So those are the concerns I have.
Thank you.
Okay?
Noted, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we have no other comments, so we'll close the public hearing. I have several questions for us. Oh, that's right, I'm sorry.
I mean, just a couple of comments. I can work with the owner about the easement and the 10-foot buffer. I'm not sure if depending on whose property that easement's on, it would dictate where that buffer is. So if the easement is on her property, then the buffer is gonna be in addition to that easement. If the easement's on our property or straddling it, then our easement, our buffer will be within that. But even if any homes get put, like rear yards get put in that area, we still have to maintain both the buffer, which actually will be in common area, but if a lot extends into the existing easement, if it's on our side, they'll have to maintain those easements, right? So nobody can build in that area, but I can work with her afterwards to help determine that, but I don't know specifically what that easement is on our side or her side, or getting down the middle. For the legal drain, I mean, yeah, we are looking at rerouting it again. This is high level, 30,000 foot level right now for it, for rezoning, because if the rezoning wasn't approved, we wouldn't spend the time and energy doing all the engineer work, but because we've been working on the site to the north, our proposal is relocating the drain on the north side and then bringing it down the east there. That would require some reworking there. Obviously, we'd have to get that approved by the county when we do all the work that's permitted. And we would have to work with the existing area to make sure we don't impact the owners there from the drainage side, but that would be, if this is approved, and then we come back, hopefully within 4 to 6 months with the primary plat, those details might be able to answer better at that time with our engineer, because we'll have more specific design standards that we can show to address that. Same thing with the road. I mean, there was a traffic study done previously, so we are less dense than that, so we have the lesser impact. But we'll have XL diesel lanes, as Christine pointed out, at our new roads off of 150. I'm not sure if we have to do any widening on 150. We will be reconstructing a new street of 200 as part of that thing was on the north side. But again, for traffic reasons, you have XL diesel lanes, so you don't have any conflict, hopefully, or less conflict with moving traffic when people are turning in and out of the new streets. And that will be done as part of, again, the primary plat. We have the details that we can show that information.
Yeah, a lot of that, your question comes at the next step. When they do more of the engineering work, they'll find out those kind of things. Right now, it's just kind of the general concept. And they'll get all that defined later.
And typically, when there is a development, drainage usually does improve.
We have very good engineering people to make sure we do that, so.
Typically, that, I mean, I've seen it over and over and over again, so.
Okay. All right, anything else? Okay, I got some questions for you. While
Sure.
In your proposal in paragraph 5.3.8, in the roofing, it states dimensional or architectural. Is that, do you know what you're gonna do there?
I think generally we lean toward dimensional, but we have the option to do both depending on the costing at the time. We removed asphalt singles as an option. That's not one of them. So yeah, dimensional or architectural would be the ones, but.
Okay, because typically, I think when we approve some of these others, they've used, you know, the statement you were using are dimensional. So I just wondered. Also in 6.2, and I think Christine, I talked to you about this. It states that the street trees that you're putting in, you would put them in, but the town would maintain them. But I don't think that's normally done by the town. And I think you told me the other day that that's typically done, but since they're in the strip out there that's done by the homeowners or in the HOA.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure because on Lansing Woods, we set out 200, the town will maintain those, because again, the public right away.
Yeah, we didn't catch it in that one.
Well, so typically, the state law is that, yes, public right of way, there are, but the homeowner is responsible for maintaining kind of the parkway in front of their homes. If we go through a meadow, or if there's gonna be removal of a tree or something.
Okay.
Are you talking about front of each home?
No,
The street trees,
Okay,
the parkway,
the parkway,
yeah, the longs, yeah.
between the sidewalk and the street.
okay, yeah,
And I'm assuming a lot of the buffer landscaping, the HOA will be responsible for, since that's common area.
Correct.
the street trees will be put in by the developer and the landscaping. Really and truly, the street trees should be maintained by the HOA. And I say that because in other neighborhoods where we have street trees, they're not being maintained, and there's no cohesiveness, and I think that, if you could do that, it would be good.
Yeah, we can add that.
You know, so the HOA can do it as if the homeowner doesn't take care of it, then, you know, they would do it in charge of, or however you wanna work it out, but it will keep the neighborhood nicer, you know, I'm already seeing what's happening. You know, some people lives, and some of them are dying and nobody's done anything, so.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Along the south edge, the very south edge, what's up against the homes that are on Sacramento.
Right.
You'll have some buffering, landscaping along there, but is there any mound intended to be there? Or is it just strictly,
Yeah,
landscaping?
it'd only be landscaping, because it's at 10 feet at that point, so we wouldn't be able to fit them out in there.
okay,
The 3-to-1 slope, we still have the room. We typically want on 3-to-1.
Another question, and it kind of has to do with traffic flow and all. Do you anticipate, as you talked about how doing these together can help with the utilities and all that, do you anticipate doing both sector, both north and south at the same simultaneously, or do you anticipate doing north first and then south, or south first and then north, or?
Yeah, we anticipate doing north first, just because it's farther in the process. We have the plat approved, and we're working with Aqua and getting sewer approved, so we can move forward with that site. And just timing wise, we'll be ahead with that one, so we would start, but we would see this as a later kind of continuation of that Lansing Woods. It's the same product going on. We would use the models most likely that are already in Lansing Woods for this one, because again, it would be the same product. We're gonna build new models, so.
Right.
We would see it all like future sections in a way, even though they're two different zonings, two different properties.
Okay, I'm just thinking from a traffic flow perspective, you're only gonna have, one exit to that until the south is built, is that correct?
So they're allowed to have so many lots before it triggers the need for a second entrance. And so whether that means they come this way or that 200 section goes in, those are all conversations we're having.
Okay. In the south section, you have that one spur that goes up with a cul-de-sac at the end. That's the blue, I think it's the. No, further north, yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Is there any concerns of, I mean, that's a dead end, and I'm concerned with, like, if you have people parking on both sides of the street, that a fire truck getting through there, or school buses getting through there, or whatever. Is there any provision thought about for having just parking on one side of the street there? Because typically, there's no other way to get into there.
Yeah, and we can add some language in the PUD for, parking either.
I don't know if that's a town thing or a HOA thing, but I'm concerned of, I've even, we have that a lot when you have, garage sales or when you have things going on.
There's, typically after the roads are built, if there becomes an issue on a road, a request gets made to the council member or the council, and we'll occasionally study it and restrict parking to like one side, so some streets up at our on Woods, for example, parking's only allowed on one side.
The over, you can't walk over that on the street,
Yeah.
because it's narrow parking.
So,
Yeah. Okay. I'm assuming that since this is individual homes, that they'll be responsible for mowing grass and all that sort of thing.
Correct, yeah.
Right. Okay, just a couple more. Let me come up with that. It's easy. On the north development, these homes along here, and I think it's at least up to about here, had asterisks, and that indicated that you were gonna be having additional architectural features in the back of those.
Correct.
To make them look nicer and whatever. In the proposal, as I read it, I think there's 5 right here, or maybe 6, that have that same thing.
Correct, yeah.
Would you be willing, and this is to help as a buffer with the buffer situation with the neighbors along here, would you folks be willing to do that same thing for these 3, these 3 homes here, because you got residents in here, for these 2, and starting about like at the edge of that pond, maybe these going across here. For that same
Yeah,
addition, that you proposed for the, what's the thing? For these 5 here, I think that the count would be like 17 or 18 homes, it would kind of be like the edge of the pond there, because when you get over here, there's a pretty large buffer, because the pond's in there, but when you get down here, I mean, there are homes right up against that, and that would give, a little more architectural features, make it look nicer for the folks that are here on Sacramento.
yeah, we can add that.
Okay. It'll be the same wording that you used for these 5 or 6 there. Okay. I think that's all I had. Essentially, the homes are gonna be the same designs and styles and all that as we had in one, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's it. I'm done.
I'm assuming you'll put fountains in the drainage ponds.
We typically don't, that's why I didn't propose it, our engineers find it would be more problematic than helpful, but if it's something that's required, we can look into that.
Bubblers, just to try to keep the mosquitoes down.
We can definitely look at aerating, yeah, do things to
Yeah.
keep the water moving
You're
around.
right, that's what I meant, I'm sorry, I meant aerators, not
Yeah.
fountains, yes. Yeah, that, I think might help keep the pond maintained better and usually less chemicals, usually it should be less money overall with the, the homeowners association or whatever. if
Yeah.
They're kept up,
Yeah, we can add that.
yeah.
Any other comments, questions?
I'd like to see that nicer final.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the rifle definitely was vinyl. And so my hope was at least to keep that the same, because again, we're using the same models. Actually, we committed to no vinyl on our Christine, from what I remember, because of the exposure along the road there. So I think we can, what I would prefer to do is still have the no vinyl for the yellow lots, but keep the blue as vinyl, since the ones in Lansing Woods, again, using the same model, the same floor plans. We just think consistency would look best.
But you did agree to the line, the thicker, I think 46. You said you couldn't agree to that.
We could here, we didn't have that agreement in the first one, I'll probably talk to our team about doing it, because I did mention to Christine, the 0.46 is more durable and thicker, the challenge becomes though, there's actually less color options, so sometimes anti-monotony can be a problem. There's just not many builders don't use that thick gauge, so they have less color options in that variety. So if it's done here on the south side, we're gonna have different color options or less options than the north.
I know they're bringing yellow already, so.
Yeah.
So
I guess-
no vinyl on the yellow, is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I guess, is it like?
Well, no, that's what I'm trying to confirm.
Yeah, I can fix no vinyl on area B to be consistent, again, to be consistent.
Just consistent with.
It's helping with,
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
how about that?
We have to make sure we have all these commitments.
Yeah.
Okay, well then.
Yeah, and we'll add on to the PUD as well for the council.
So someone should probably review whether they all are before we would go.
Yeah, how do we define what I just said in those houses council, just the number? I mean, from the pond edge, and then those three houses, the three, the three and,
The lots that are to the abut existing homes.
So,
yeah, and then there's three there and two. The three and then the two.
Yeah, counting 13 along the south, that curves up into a little bit, about a third, north into the pond area, and then the other three would make 16 additional lots we can add that commitment to.
what was that like, let's say it was.
Also, as far as Lansing Woods South, you should probably, if you can, add that to the covenants on the street trees.
Yeah, the maintenance of them.
Yeah, for maintaining the street trees.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
like you
check
said, you
it.
haven't built anything yet, so
Right.
might as well do them both.
Oh, for the other Mexican ones.
Yeah, for the other one,
Yeah.
yeah.
You're gonna say something.
Well, I was gonna ask, did you mark, it looks like you're looking at some version of this, did you mark it?
Yeah, I marked it on what they just gave me, I didn't.
If you wanna take a look at that, so you just, you can just say, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I agree.
I put the asterisk on there, it comes at 18 total.
Oh, okay, I didn't catch the two as a full effect.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the same ones I saw. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Then we can just reference, put an
You're
exhibit number
gonna have
on it,
this.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, I didn't-
Throw somebody in
Yeah.
that, makes sense.
but when we're making the motion, we can refer to
Okay,
the marked up.
the 18 that we agreed.
Yes.
You don't
Do we
hear.
want to
Okay.
give it an exhibit number or something, or
Sure, exhibit A.
exhibit, write that on there.
I had one question. We were talking earlier about the shingles. Is that something a homeowner can decide on what kind of shingles they want?
Honestly, I don't believe so. I think we pick ahead of time, depending on what's available from the supplier.
I see.
Right.
Curious.
But I can double check that, know by the plat, that I'm not sure about, we offer those options.
But no single sheets.
Yeah, there's no asphalt shingles.
That's to get me stuff, something good. That's from.
Thank you.
Not doing this one. I haven't been taking.
I'm working on it.
I think I got enough notes for you. One spell error that we should. Wanting to list all the same verbiage for those 18 homes, it's the same as it for the other 5. That were already in their proposal.
For the condition, we can say something like. Include, well, we approve with the commitment that they. Have consistent feature options as the 5 already with the UD as apply to the additional properties in Exhibit A.
Yeah, I was thinking you'd say expand section 5.3.13 to include 18 additional homes as indicated in the exhibit provided by the planning commission.
Yeah,
Love it.
yep.
We need to that.
What is it?
Because I was reading it.
That was yours. I also had, so HOA maintain the street trees, aerators, in the ponds, the minimum 25% open space, the other things that were, in the staff comments, and then the 18 additional.
And then no vinyl on the arbor lots. The area B.
With the fire department's concerns, are there any of the overlays that are gonna make it less than 10 foot in between the homes?
They would encroach into that, yeah, 5 foot setback area. So it would be, I think under the fire code, it's a minimum of 3 between there, but they wouldn't be. They're about 11 to 12 inches,
Past it.
yeah, into the 5 foot setback.
It's gonna be basically the same exact as was one on North, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and it will meet the minimum building fire codes.
Okay. So we'll entertain a motion, if somebody wants to. Sounds like you have all the additional commitments.
When it makes the motion, I can read the conditions.
Who wants to-
You're just saying, just say.
Yeah.
Staff's conditions. Staff's on. Or new addition. And then, yeah. And it will want to do, but, I can try. Yeah, I could try. I just have to have-
I'm sure you're still gonna be able to do lesser bias on the national department. Because staff condition decision.
That's, I think that's what I heard. It's the same grade as.
The
it's
same,
like-
same vinyl, same-
So what I'm trying to say, listing the comments of staff and report. you-
No, it's, I didn't put that in there.
Okay.
That was in the, it was listed in the report, but not.
Yeah, it's not actually on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Well, we got some to do, but-
You got the rest of them.
If you so choose, you could say, make a motion to approve the PUD 2026-02 on the condition for staff's comments or as recommended in the staff report, in addition to, and then she can help you read off the other ones. If
Okay,
that's what you folks want to do.
okay.
All right, so I can say, I move, we send it. Session PUD 2026-02 to the council with favorable. And I move this probably made with the recommended conditions. By the staff,
Staff, in addition to.
in addition to.
Aerators in ponds, the HOA maintain the street trees, area B will not have vinyl siding. And the 18 additional homes adjacent to the existing home south of County Road 150 will have the same architectural elevation as those that back up to County Road 150 north. I wrote it a little. And for the exhibit A.
Exhibit
Exhibit it. Okay, do I have a second to that?
I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
A. Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. So get work on your primary plat now.
It has to go to town council.
I know.
Yeah.
You can start work on it. We've got 2 town council members. Okay, what do you have for next month? As always.
At your August meeting, you will have the public hearing, that's required under House Bill 1001, for the audit of the, UDO for housing, and that is the only item that's on.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you said we do have a public hearing, not public hearing, but a public meeting coming up for the comp plan.
I
Sometime?
think the public drafts hopefully will be released. We're working on the final, public engagement plan right now. I would say the earliest it would come to planning commission in September.
Okay,
So we have a little bit of, an engagement once that final draft comes out.
what she's referring to for next month, and you probably aren't aware of this at all, but the last legislature made quite a few changes that we have to now follow with respect to how we go about our process of new homes and new subdivisions, and they're really pushing for higher densities, being processed faster because they're basically saying there's not enough homes for people. And they want to make them more affordable and all that. This is all coming from the state legislature. In addition to that, so that's what she's talking about. We're having this meeting on next month. But in addition to that, the town is redoing our comprehensive plan. And what that is, it's like a plan for what do we want to be when we grow up 20 years from now? And what do we want where and how we're gonna do things and all that. And so you'll be seeing something publicized about a open meeting for that to make comments on. And I think it's probably already on our website somewhere where you can see it.
Yeah, you can link to what we have and then the final, the draft should be coming out for the public here.
So it's the opportunity for the residents to, have a voice in what we're gonna be 20 years from now. I mean, I won't be around here 20 years from now, but, some of you still will be, so. Make your voices heard. That's what it's all about.
You'll still be here.
I'm set, it's in the 98. Still, okay. If I don't hear anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I oppose. We're done. Thank you. Thank you for coming, making comments.
Back to Adjourned. I was just saying,
Yeah.
we're done.
Since things, they're starting to see. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah. So- Thank you.